When 3 leather-clad bikers surrounded my pregnant wife in our driveway, I thought it was random road rage. Then I saw our HOA president, Delilah, smirking from across the street, like she was watching her favorite TV show. I was standing at my kitchen window, coffee mug frozen halfway to my lips, as these wannabe sons of anarchy extras circled my 7 months pregnant wife, Alina. The crunch of gravel under their steel-toed boots sounded like broken bones. The biggest one, complete with a skull bandana and a beer gut that screamed midlife crisis, stepped so close to Alina that her grocery bags tumbled to the concrete, scattering organic vegetables across the pavement. "Lady," he growled, obviously reading from a script his aunt had prepared. "There's going to be consequences for your husband's non-compliance. But here's the thing about my wife. She's a pediatric nurse who deals with life-and-death situations. Calmly, she didn't flinch, didn't cry, didn't give them the fear they were looking for. She simply picked up her groceries and walked into our house with the dignity of a queen. The moment the door closed, I knew those idiots had no idea what they'd just stepped into. 12 years as a military contractor managing logistics in combat zones taught me how to identify threats, gather intelligence, and dismantle problems with surgical precision. And in exactly 3 minutes, these clowns would be at my door, not to threaten, but to beg me to make their nightmare stop. Delilah was about to learn that messing with a soldier's pregnant wife is career suicide. Let me ask you, what would you do if a bully threatened your family over something as petty as lawn violations? Drop your location below. I guarantee your HOA has horror stories. Our war began 6 months ago, when we moved to Willowbrook Estates. A picture-perfect suburban paradise on the surface. We needed the space for our growing family. But beneath the manicured lawns and matching mailboxes, the community was a petty dictatorship run by one woman, Delilah Hartwell. For 6 years, she'd been the unopposed HOA president, treating our neighborhood like her personal kingdom. Her power was amplified by the fact that she was also a real estate agent, who profited directly from crushing any deviation from her beige vision of perfection. Our first conflict was absurdly simple. Instead of a water-hungry lawn, I installed drought-resistant, native landscaping, better for the environment, and even encouraged by the county. 2 days later, Delilah was on my doorstep, with a violation notice for unapproved materials. I spent 3 days buried in paperwork, HOA, bylaws, county ordinances, state water conservation guidelines. My plants weren't just legal, they were exemplary. I filed a formal appeal, complete with documentation. That's when the real harassment started. Weekly violation notices for things her own friends got away with. Our fence height legal. Our mailbox style identical to 12 other houses. It was never about the rules. It was about absolute control. Delilah made a crucial mistake. She assumed I'd fold under pressure like her previous victims. She clearly never dealt with someone who'd managed supply chains in combat zones. I did what I do best. I went on the offensive with information. I read all 87 pages of the HOA's governing documents and found my legal sledgehammer. Buried in the mind-numbing text were clauses Delilah had been violating for years. She needed 72 hours notice for emergency meetings. She gave 48. And she couldn't raise fines over $100 without a full membership vote. She'd been issuing $1,000 penalties. I sent a certified letter to all 127 homeowners, methodically explaining how their HOA president had been breaking the law for 18 months. The response was like opening a floodgate. 23 families contacted me within 48 hours. Old Martha, facing $8,000 in bogus fines for a garden gnome. A young tech couple, harassed for installing solar panels. We started meeting at a local diner, forming a coalition of the terrorized. When Delilah realized she was losing control, she panicked and escalated. She hired a security company owned by her brother-in-law to patrol the neighborhood and intimidate residents. Then, she hired her nephew Randy's pathetic weekend biker club to deliver her next message. I caught it all on my security cameras. Delilah, behind the community center at 11 p.m., handing Randy an envelope thick with cash. "Whatever it takes to get them out," she said. "I don't care what you have to do." That was her declaration of war. It was time to show her what a real war looks like. The biker incident happened while I was at a physical therapy appointment. The moment Elena called, adrenaline flooded my system. But by the time I raced home, they were gone. Elena, shaken but resolute, had already documented everything. It was time for my counterattack. 3 minutes, that's all it took. Call 1. My buddy at the state patrol ran the bikers. License plates. Call 2. A contact at the district attorney's office pulled their criminal records. The result: Randy, the nephew, had an outstanding warrant for unpaid child support. His two buddies were violating their parole by associating with him. Within the hour, Randy was in the county lockup. His two friends showed up at my front door, pale and terrified, begging me to call off the heat. They sang like canaries, giving me sworn, recorded statements that Delilah had paid them, specifically to terrorize a pregnant woman. But neutralizing her thugs wasn't the endgame. I filed a Freedom of Information Act request with the city and found the smoking gun. Delilah's corruption ran deeper than we ever imagined. She had been systematically embezzling HOA funds for 6 years, funneling over $480,000 into a shell company she owned, billing us for landscaping, security, and consulting services that never existed. She was looting our community to fund her luxury lifestyle, with an army of angry neighbors, a retired pro bono lawyer, and a mountain of irrefutable evidence. We planned the final takedown, a community-wide meeting at the local church hall. Night of the meeting was cinematic. The hall was packed with over 300 residents, news cameras, and a detective from the Financial Crimes Unit. Delilah sat alone in the corner, her empire crumbling. I stood at the podium and laid out her entire reign of terror, one damning piece of evidence at a time. The fake invoices, the illegal meetings, the bank records showing direct transfers to her personal accounts. The final blow was the crystal-clear audio recording of her hiring the bikers. Whatever it takes to get them out. A collective gasp filled the room. Delilah snapped. She leaped to her feet, screaming that we were all too stupid to understand complex financial management. The insult hung in the air, a perfect confession of her contempt. That's when Detective Martinez stood up. "Ms. Hardwell," he announced, his voice booming through the silent hall, "you're under arrest for fraud, conspiracy, and filing false police reports." The sound of handcuffs clicking shut was the most beautiful sound I'd heard in months. Delilah was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison and ordered to pay back every single stolen cent. Her foreclosed mansion was seized and purchased by our new democratically elected HOA board. It's now the Willowbrook Community Center. 6 months later, I'm pushing my baby daughter, Hope, in her stroller, through a beautiful community garden filled with native plants, the very same plants that started this war. We didn't just win a fight, we took back our community and built something better from the ashes of her corruption. Justice, it turns out, is the best kind of landscaping. If you love stories where bullies get what they deserve and justice is served, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. You won't want to miss the next story of karma we bring you.